Late great Jon English was a man of many talents. He could draw a crowd to a beer barn for a gig, a theatre for a stage show, or simply around the telly for a laugh. He was the much-loved and multi-talented performer who brought us hits like this.
Hollywood 7, you can dream your dreams for $7 a night.
And this.
Take my 6 rings to tie back your head.
Go, Jon! A master of musical theatre, Jon English's performance as Judas received critical acclaim in the original Australian production of Jesus Christ Superstar. Years later, Jon found success starring in the sitcom All Together Now.
Every now and again you pitch yourself, and people in hotel forwards call you Mr. English, and you get all this sort of cockamamie respect thing. It's really, you go upstairs and look in the mirror and laugh your head off.
Away from the entertainment business, he was a dedicated father and husband, raising 4 children in country New South Wales with his childhood sweetheart. Now, a new book is lifting the lid on an extraordinary life. Yeah, the book is called Behind Dark Eyes, the true story of Jon English. And I'm delighted to say Jon's son, Jonathan English, and author Jeff Apter join us in the studio now. Nice to see you both, fellas. Jonathan, what a legacy. This book, full of laughter and tears. It focuses a lot on your home life growing up. What are your fondest and strongest memories of the late, great Jon?
Oh, thanks, Richard. My fondest memories of Dad really are from my childhood. Those were some halcyon days in his career, and he, off the back of the success of Against the Wind, he bought this big property, rambling acreage out in the Hills District, and that's where I was born and was raised there. And my memories are all about when he'd come back off tour for, a month or so at a time, and big boys' own adventures through the bush and in the creek, or horseback riding or motorbike riding, you name it. It was really, it was a cherished upbringing, I suppose, is the best way to look at it.
What a beautiful way of putting it. Jeff, we all know Jon, the rock of the stage, star, the actor. But what did you find out in putting this book together that the public might not have been aware of?
Just a very funny guy.
Yeah, he was.
In fact, Jonathan and I were talking just during the week, and the anniversary of Jon's death came up, and I said, "What are you going to do?" And Jonathan said to me, "We're going to go." I think he went for Yum Cha, and the first thing he did was stick a jelly snake up your nose, which is the first thing that Jon would have done.
Yeah.
Anyway, this was during Sidmus.
Sidmus, he loved his sense of the absurd. He was a Monty Python fan through and through, a Goon Show fan. If you, at any stage growing up, looked at life seriously, he'd give you something to laugh about. And yeah, the idea of famous guy turning up to a Chinese restaurant and casually having a jelly snake up his nose while he's reading the menu, just before the waiter come to take it out,
That really shone through for me.
Yeah. The character, it really was larger than life, too, wasn't it? Yeah. Jonathan, your parents married your mum and dad, Carmen, when they were barely out of their teens. How hard was it for them navigating your dad's superstar? Jon, he was a big star in this country. Well, raising you lot.
Well, I had the opportunity to ask my mother this question last night, actually, and she had a really eloquent way of putting it, and looking back, I really agree. They're both from migrant families. Dad came out here when he was 12 from England, and my mum's from Estonian heritage, World War II refugees. They just knew work ethic. So out of high school, my dad was working with the Sebastian Hardy Blues Band, doing lots of gigs. He had a teacher's degree, he was studying at university, and he was a bookkeeper by day for an accountant. And my mum, same thing. She worked in in Grand United Health Cover and all sorts. So they got married and made ends meet. And for Dad, the superstar punt, really, the audition was another job. And when it hit, it really exploded, and I don't know if you can't ever really be prepared for it, but they stuck to what they knew, which was hard work.
Yeah, there was definitely no sense of once Superstar exploded, it wasn't like John sat back and rested on his laurels.
Certainly
He
not.
went looking for the next job once it finally ended.
Well, he had the Foster Brothers Band. What a great band they were. And, of course, the Pirates of Penzance, the stage shows, and Paris, the rock opera that he poured his love and broke his heart when it didn't take off. Such a full life. Jeff, you've authored 25 music biographies. You're a busy man too, ranging Keith Urban, of course, which was great, the Young Brothers, the Bee Gees. Why was it, what was it about John that captured your attention?
The thing that really brought me in was, in fact, I grew up during that whole Countdown era and knew him through that, but it wasn't until the 80s. My older brother said to me, you've got to come and see John and the Foster Brothers, because they played a lot of the suburban venues around where I lived. And it was like being hit by a truck. They were amazing. The difference, as good as those records were that he had hits with, to see them live was another thing altogether, because you didn't just get this great rock and roll band, but you got comedy.
Yeah.
You know, they were funny on
It was
stage.
a great show.
Yeah, and John broke down that wall between the stage and the audience, which is the stuff that he then carried into Pirates of Penzance and so on. But that really got me in, and when John died, I wrote an obit, I think, for Rolling Stone, and I think the family might have noticed that. And that's eventually led to me getting involved with the project.
Well, you're beautiful. I remember seeing your dad playing with the Foster Brothers at the Musicians Club in Chalmers Street in Sydney. Doug Parkinson was playing there with Tommy Emmanuel. Anyway, he was a great performer, a great dad, and we love you sharing your experiences. The book is called Behind Dark Eyes, The True Story of Jon English, and it is out now. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Richard.
Coming up.